Welcome to this episode in my series on mobile photography for beginners. In this episode, you will learn 5 tips on how to take some great landscape photos. I'm Bellemare-Alford, and in this series I share some tips and tricks that I learned by taking thousands of pictures using my phone. Landscape photography is my favorite type of photography, so let's get right into it. My first tip is the rule of thirds. If you haven't already, go inside of your camera settings and enable a 3x3 grid. Once this is done, the rule states that your subject should be either on a line of third or ideally on an intersection of two of the lines. If we have a pretty typical scene right here, so we have a nice mountain, we have a lake and some sky, we actually want to make sure that the mountains here, which is our subject, is either on the bottom line or on the top line here to get a little bit more of the sky or in the water inside of it. A little pro tip is actually to take your camera and turn it around here to take more of the sky inside of the shot or more of the water, depending on which is most interesting. So this is really great if you have a sunset or something like that, where you want to get more sky inside of your image. One of the best tips I can give you for landscape photos is to add a foreground subject. A foreground subject is anything that is in front of your main subject. For us, our main subject is going to be the mountains in the background. So we could use the bush that is right in front here to add it as a foreground subject, but it could be anything else like rocks, sand, or anything else that you think looks good in the foreground of your image. Don't forget your rule of thirds. You want to make sure that you have this in the bottom right corner or anything that respects the rule of thirds, and keep your background subject also using the rule of thirds. The reason why adding a foreground subject is so useful is that it creates layers inside of your image, which add more depth inside of your image and makes it a little bit more complex and more interesting to look at. One well-kept secret inside of landscape photography using your phone is actually to use your portrait mode. So this will allow to select if you want to have your foreground or your background blurry inside of the image. By blurring the foreground or the background, it's actually going to allow you to get some images that are much simpler. Another little pro tip when taking pictures using your phone is actually to turn it around and face downwards with the camera if you want to get closer to the ground and get some even more interesting shots right here. My next tip is definitely going to seem completely unintuitive, but it's to add a person inside of your shot. The reason why you want to do this is to fill a part of the image that might be a little bit boring, or to show a sense of scale. So for example, it could be somebody kayaking on the lake, or if you get to the top of the mountain, you could put a timer on your camera, walk away to really show how big the mountains are around you. My last tip is one that is usually misunderstood by beginner landscape photographers, and is that you need the right light and the right weather conditions to get some amazing shots. If you take a picture at sunrise, in the middle of the day of a blue sunny sky, at night, at sunset, or at blue hour, they're all going to be completely different results. You usually want to take a picture of a landscape at sunrise, sunset, blue hour, or in the middle of the day when you have moody skies, because these are the places where you're going to get the best results. This is also the reason why pro photographers tend to go back to the same location multiple times, because they're waiting to get the perfect weather conditions and the perfect light to get an amazing landscape photograph. So it's not just luck, it's a lot of time just going back to the same places and taking the same picture over and over again until you get the perfect conditions for your landscape shot. I hope you enjoyed this episode on landscape photography using your mobile device. If you did, please let me know by hitting the like button below, and definitely subscribe for more videos on mobile photography. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.